Hello, hello, and welcome once again. My name is Given Illustrative, and this is Millennial Pillars, where we continue to have conversations about what does it mean to be a millennial living in this millennial era. And we've mentioned before, and I'll just say it as a summary right now in today, that living in the millennial era basically means living in this modern world, the technological world, the world that has become so advanced that everything seems to be changing overnight. Not only just the way that cars work or the way that our phones work or the way that, everything technological works around us, but also in consideration of the fact that even the way that we relate to one another has changed. Even the way that we relate with our family members has changed. And I know because sometimes people make the mistake, often people make the mistake of assuming that when we talk about the fact that the world has changed, we're only referring to technology, the use of devices, laptops, computers, cameras, and all those things have become advanced. But I think for me, one of the most meaningful changes that have happened, and by meaningful, I don't mean it in a positive way, but also in the way that we relate to one another has changed. People have become distant in a manner of speaking. But today we're going to be talking about something that I think everybody struggles with, especially any person who is, part of the social media environment. We have begun to use it so much that it's become a drug, and it's become a dysfunctional drug. Now, it's not dysfunctional to each and every single individual that's using social media, but to a lot of people it actually has become a dysfunctional drug. So I'm just going to break it down and lay a foundation so that you understand where this conversation comes from, right? So first of all, social media obviously refers to any platform that is mostly online that we use to interact with one another and build communities. So it doesn't only refer to Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. There are many more social media platforms out there. There are some that are exclusively used for gaming, some that are used for example, Pinterest, that are just used to share our interest with other people. Because I mentioned this and I'm trying to introduce you to the broader aspect of what social media is, so that you cannot be one of those people who think to themselves, oh no, I'm not involved in social media, I'm just on Pinterest, or I'm only on Tumblr and I engage with blog posts only, or be one of those people who think that just because you're on YouTube then you don't engage that much in on social media platforms. You do, and you most likely are impacted by them. You know what I mean? So those social media platforms are very dynamic because in sometimes people make the mistake of looking at them as just these simple in a simple manner, because social media platform, we look at them as a way that we keep in touch with people and we share our experiences, right? Like Instagram, we share pictures, YouTube, we share videos, Facebook, we share our thoughts in a long format, and sometimes we even blog on Facebook. And then you also have Twitter, where you share your opinion in sort of like spurts, right? In a very short paragraph. So you just say what you think about something that's happening currently. And that's the thing about Twitter. It's a very current social media platform. It focuses on current events a lot. Now, or rather, things that are trending currently. Now, the thing I want to talk to you about is that living in the millennial era, right, it is important for us to first of all acknowledge the fact that there was a time when social media was not a thing. There was a time where people never had to go on social media and worry about what's happening there. And I'm going to take you back to biblical times. I've once used this as an example, actually, that think about how it would have felt for Abraham, right? Living in his time. Abraham was not surrounded by people who were looking at him for being called Abraham or judging him for being Abraham and not having a father. And more importantly, there was no device to actually constantly remind him of the fact that he's not a father. So therefore, he could believe and trust in God more because there was no one to actually entice him and sort of like lure him into focusing on other things. And what I believe the introduction of social media has done to us as millennials, and not only just as millennials, even baby boomers suffer from this, is the fact that we're constantly reminded of what we don't have. And yet, at the same time, it's actually quite funny because we're addicted to going on, for example, Instagram and looking at what other people have, the things that they have, and wanting to be like those people without even knowing what are they actually going through. But here's where this conversation actually brings me to, is the fact that we have become so... We've become participators of this world of social media, right? To such an extent that we're no longer trying to develop our own unique identities. And also we've become so addicted to them that they've begun to actually infiltrate our relationships. Because I can tell you now that there are many boyfriends and girlfriends. I personally know relationships that are affected by social media. People not knowing when to put their phones down and focus on their partners. And that's the world that we live in, that reality that we have these platforms that are so powerful that they're affecting our godly relationships. I mean, marriage is an institution that was God's idea. And now these social media platforms are beginning to affect us, right? And affect the way that we live and the way that we relate with our spouses. Also the way that we relate with our friends, because you'll find yourself at a party hanging out with friends and all of a sudden people will just go on their phones. And I'm like, come on, right? But now this is, and here's what I want to leave you with, that social media can be destructive. And it's something that you need to look into for yourself and actually ask yourself whether you've reached a level of being so addicted to social media that it's begun to be dysfunctional in your life, that you don't even go to sleep at a certain hour so that you can be up early in the morning because you stay up at night looking at your phone. And remember that our phones, actually, that light, there's a certain light that is mediated by your phone, that comes out of your phone, that actually causes sleeplessness, right? So you end up staying up late, and you'll stay up even more because now you'll be worried and thinking about the things that you've seen on social media that you yourself don't have. People buying cars and getting married and etc., things like that. And those are things that we need to be considerate of. Now, here's the thing I'm going to share with you right now that I've realized about myself and social media, and I need to look at the fact that when I go on Facebook, I'm a huge Facebooker. I don't Instagram a lot, only for cat videos and guinea pigs, just to watch people who have those, right? I love pets, I love animals. But now with social media, here's the thing about it, right? Especially with Facebook for me. When I go onto Facebook and then I just start scrolling down, what I've honestly realized about Facebook is the fact that it actually changes my mood, right? Depending on who posted what, especially for people who post things that are very anti-biblical or anti-Christ, right? People who say things like Christians are evil, oh, look at these Christians, and criticize my faith and what I believe in. So whether you're Christian or not, I want to talk to you about this, have this conversation with you, that are you really going to allow a social media platform to dictate how you feel and ruin your mood for the day, and therefore killing the momentum you could have had in just being nice and kind to people? That's something that we definitely need to look into. So with that said, my name is Given Illustrative. Thank you so much for just coming and listening, and just this is just the beginning of the conversation. So we will be expanding on it in future. So in order for you to be part of that conversation, just subscribe and hit the bell, and also give me your comments down below so that we can actually engage and interact in this conversation together. And remember to be nice, and remember that Millennial Pillars is part of the I Am Youth movement, and we're all over the place. We're going to be telling you more about us in the near future, so do stay tuned for that. With that said, my name is Given Illustrative. I look forward to hanging out with you next time. Adios.